What's up, everybody? It's Ryan, the Friendly Designer, and welcome to another episode of our Friendly Podcast. This podcast is all about interviewing people that inspire us in super friendly environments so we can learn from them to pursue a friendlier future. Today's guest is Joshua Dean Church, human extraordinaire, co-founder of Edge Theory Labs, and I'm lucky to say, one of my best friends. So Joshy, buenos dias.
Buenos dias, man. Hey.
What a treat. What's going on, brother?
Not much, man. It's beautiful to be here at the friendly wall. Love a good wall.
A little morning stretch, you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
Staying limber for the people.
I do know what you mean.
So, first question I want to ask you.
Yeah.
What does friendliness mean to you?
Ooh, what does friendliness mean to me? Friendliness to me means openness. Ooh. I think when I think about friendliness, and when you have someone that's a friend, or you say, hey, this person's friendly, or that was a friendly interaction, I sense this like openness, like this open-heartedness, less of like we're all walking around with like shields and layers on, and we're kind of protecting ourselves with armor. But when you're with a friend, or when you're friendly, it feels like that's open and it's off, and it's like I'm open to be authentic and vulnerable to myself. So when I think of friendliness, I think of the shift of energy from like closed off to like openness.
So I wanna ask you about that openness,
Sure.
because one thing I admire about you is your ability to talk to strangers. And I hadn't thought about it in those words before, but I think that kind of context is very clarifying. Like, how do you do it? Well, it helps to be open.
Yeah.
So do you have an instance that you can remember of like having an unexpected interaction with a stranger where all of a sudden you guys are kind of friends now? Like, how'd that happen?
All the time. Every week.
So that's a lot.
And I think it's also because
That's why we brought you on.
Exactly.
You're friendly inspiration.
I love it. I think it's because I feel that, and I know that everybody's just waiting for permission to open up at the end of the day. Like, as humans, we're all just waiting for permission to be seen, to be heard, and to be safe to express. Mm-hmm. And knowing that, I seek to be the person that can free people from the weight that they're carrying of like, I gotta be closed off, or I gotta fend for myself. So I'm always aiming to open people up, right? And it can happen very simply. One of our other good friends, Corey, who should definitely be on this podcast.
True.
He's a very friendly guy. He says something called the say anything rule, where it's like, if you say anything, you get a read on someone's energy, and you know if they're open to a connection or a friendship or something more. So that's the way that I approach it, is just like, say anything. I met a new friend today at the coffee shop.
Tell me.
Her name's Lauren, and she's
Hi, Lauren.
Hi, Lauren. Hi, Lauren. She's a barista. I know I have a bunch of friends there now because they all work. I go there all the time, Blue Bottle. So
got it.
Shout out to Jules. We got Henry. We've got Lauren. We've got the whole squad.
I love it, the community.
We got Lexi and Frankie as well. Frankie's the man. And so I just it just asks people their name, or say hello. It can be something super simple, or say anything. And that can be to a stranger, to anybody else. Like, I just met another friend in the gym the other week, and she had one of those Stanley cups that I'm seeing everywhere. And I just I just pointed, and I'm like, is that your cup? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, how do you like it? I've seen those everywhere. And that interaction could have gone one or two ways. It could have been her like, oh, it's good, okay. And then she just goes on, she's not interested. Yeah. Or it could be like, she opens up and she starts a conversation, which is what happened. She opened up, she's like, oh yeah, I love it for these and this reasons and this XYZ. And now all of a sudden we're talking and we're in a conversation. Totally. And we're friends from just a simple comment. So that's the way that I approach like making friends, is just say anything. You have to put yourself out there to give yourself the chance to see if there's a connection. And what people don't realize is that it takes so little. It's like literally say anything and you can see if there's a connection there.
I couldn't agree with you more. And it's funny you bring up Corey. I can still remember the first maybe day or second day I met him, and he handed me, he had an orange. He's like, you want an orange?
Yeah.
And he's like, I always, whenever I travel,
because
he's all about meeting people, right? Big inspiration for both of us.
Big inspiration.
And he's like, he has some gum, he has an orange, whatever it is, he's sharing. Yep. And it's just like that smallest of gesture, which I think goes back to, it gets you open.
Exactly. I
think it's quite nice.
Agreed.
Another question about you, and then we'll tap into Edge Theory Labs and the amazing thing about that.
Love a good wall sit, by the way. Don't do wall sits.
So clean. So clean. Going back to like high school, like, you know,
exactly.
basketball practice and whatnot. It'll be good for the jump shot.
This is right.
But you do a lot of kind of high intensity training, and I think particularly in sports that are just intense and kind of pretty distant from a lot of people, right? Like I think you completed an Ironman recently.
Yep.
What are people missing out on when they look at that? And are there any friendly lessons to be taken from doing something like that, both with friendly to yourself, like, shit, what did I just accomplish?
Right.
Or maybe you met some people along the way.
Oh, I love that. Always. Shared suffering is the best.
Shared suffering.
Shared suffering.
I love it.
That conscious suffering. And we know physiologically something called hormetic stress, when you're willfully putting yourself into an environment where you're bringing stress on your body, cold immersion, sauna, high intensity interval training. That's really good for our health and our body. So people don't understand, but stress actually can be the key to us de-stressing. Like we use a conscious dose of stress.
Yeah, you like get a little bit of it.
Exactly, a conscious flip switch to then be able to flip the switch off. But specifically when it comes to like endurance, some of the endurance sports that I do, like Ironman triathlon or some long distance running or swimming, the thing that I love about that, I think that people miss out on, is that it's a chance to become friendlier with yourself, because it forces you to get intimate with yourself and really get to know yourself. There's no hiding when you're in a deep dig and everything in your being and your body wants you to give out or quit, and you're continuing to move forward. Like it forces a level of honesty, and you get to know yourself in such a deep and such a real, honest, integrity-driven way that that is so powerful. Like those are the moments you get to define yourself. There's no one around, it's no one but you and you. And so it allows you to build a relationship and get friendlier with yourself and know where can I push more, or where do I give myself compassion, and where do I put my foot off the gas.
I love that concept of being friendlier with yourself. I think going back to what does friendliness mean to you?
Yeah.
Openness. And I think most people will kind of automatically go to multiple people at the same time, right? There's something about an interconnection between people for friendliness.
Right.
But I kind of feel like if you can develop that with your relationship with yourself, it's kind of a nice foundation to show up to like more people and bring that friendlier energy.
Agree.
So interesting that the shared suffering was, I didn't think about it at all, but shared suffering is the takeaway. And I bet we're about to tap into that when it comes to your work.
Heck yeah.
And also pushing yourself to become friendlier there.
Yeah, and shared suffering is huge, because that's how you build bonds with people. Like, think about some of the best friends that you have. You've probably been through some things together. And
like hitchhiking through Cuba or something like that.
Through Cuba.
Like spending 2 weeks and almost getting kidnapped.
Like almost getting kidnapped in Cuba. Yes, this is a true story. Ryan and I almost got kidnapped in Cuba and hitchhiked our way through.
We made it out. We did
good. Make it out. Yeah, but you go through, like, those are the bonds and those memories, because, and I think what it is it comes back to this idea of openness, is because when you're in that shared suffering, you're vulnerable. And when you go through that vulnerability with other people, you get to see people's real character. Like, you don't get to know people when things are going well.
Yeah.
Like, character isn't defined when things are all fine and dandy. It's defined when you're facing a challenge or you're up against the wall. Like, that's how you get to really see the true character of someone, of a friend, and also yourself. You get to learn that for yourself. And that's why that idea of this, like the shared suffering, if you will, is so powerful, because it does both of those things. And then it forges those bonds. Like, I mean, anybody that's part of a sports team has certain bond, or fraternities, or any types of groups or run clubs, anything like that. It's like, because you're going through something together, and there's that sense of a fulfillment on the other side and connection, which I think those are two things that we need so much more of right now in our society and in our world. So I'm a big advocate of that.
I think that's a good transition into Edge Theory Labs.
Yeah.
So Josh started a company, Edge Theory Labs, and I'll let you take this reel.
Sure.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I think so too. I was never very comfortable in my body. And what I mean by that is I was in a lot of pain, chronic pain. You remember in high school, I had a lot of different injuries. I got this nice scar right here from almost having my leg amputated. I had appendicitis, and they messed up the surgery, and so I was bleeding internally. I had to get blood transfusion. So long story short, I was in a lot of pain at age 20.
Yeah.
And I needed to find a way out of the pain, and that wasn't taking prescription meds. So I got really into alternative paths of healing: yoga, meditation, breath work, cold immersion, and they all I saw my life transform before my eyes. More energy, started to regain flexibility, strength, started to be able to run again, and start to do things that I never thought was possible, and working my way up to a full Ironman triathlon. So that's been my pursuit, and along the way, I just got really into ice baths. I did a Wim Hof method retreat in Iceland, and I got so into these ice baths coming back, and I got tired of buying ice, is the reality. So I hit up my cousin, Rob, who's a really, really smart, friendly guy.
Shout out, Rob.
Shout out, Rob. And I had him help me build something that didn't require me buying bags of ice every time I wanted to do my ice bath.
Yeah.
And we did, and that ended up becoming a prototype for the Edge Tub that we launched with, which is a portable, self-cooling, self-cleaning ice bath. So it's one of its kind, and it was the first of its kind, and we launched that just over 2 years ago. And in that time, we've helped thousands of people. We have a team of 15 plus people now, bringing this vehicle of healing to everybody, and have been able to be blessed with such amazing partners that we work with, some athletes, teams, celebrities that we're able to support on their journey, and we're just getting started. We've got other fun innovation and other fun things. We just brought our Edge app to the market, which is really exciting. So you can have guided breath work, guided cold immersion, so we can share these tools in a more accessible way that's approachable to anybody, even if you aren't able to buy an expensive tub. So that's a little bit about Edge 3 Labs.
So I know that you guys were kind of the first to market, right?
Yes.
And you came up with this brilliant product. So obviously people try to copy it.
Yes.
And it seems that you've invested a lot in creating a strong community around your tub and around the benefits that come with it. So it seems like you're really prioritizing friendliness as something that's valuable for your company in the short and long term. What are your strategies with kind of bringing that friendly energy to the company, and how are you cultivating that community?
Yeah, 2 words, friendly futures.
Good response.
We did a fun friendly futures event together that was awesome. But no, to your point, when you have something that becomes, like, we were the first ones to bring this portable concept to the market, and fast forward 2 years and it's become totally saturated. But the thing that's helped us stand apart, and what it's forced us to do, is double down on what is unique and authentic to us. Like, who are we? What is a flag in the sand that we're willing to plant? Because we can't just ride on product alone. We have to really build the story and the brand behind it. And like, what do we stand for at the end of the day? And what's unique about our company and our team is that we all like live this.
Yeah.
Like, it's all authentic. We all are living this lifestyle and practicing what we preach, which is beautiful. And the thing around community, it's like that's why I got into this in the first place, and creating that community, helping people with this. So that's just at the forefront of what we do. And so doing events, both virtual and in person, is something that helps us cultivate that community and is an important factor. Doing retreats, we led our first Edge 3 Labs winter retreat in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, to deliver that deeper transformation. So just keeping that integrity aligned and that authenticity shining has been the difference.
That's rad.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Now, I think the retreat, the events, just the culture that you've created around it. I mean, one of the reasons that I myself like ice baths is because I feel like, and Josh is a huge reason why I like ice baths, is both because it makes my body feel good, but equally as important is because I know so many other people who are interested in it, and it's something that I relate to when I talk to them. I go to a party, and maybe it's a sober party or whatnot, or there's some light drinking, but we're talking about ice baths and what we're doing to be friendlier to our bodies, and then that creates like a community effect. Yeah. So that's something I'm very grateful for you for starting, and something I'm intrigued by. And I think that, I mean, you see the popularity of run clubs now, or we got hit up recently by this cold tub, not company, but like organization that does coffee and cold tubs.
Oh yeah.
And there's just so many more like wellness-oriented community events.
So
cool. What are your thoughts on those spaces? Like, do you go to bars anymore? Like, where do you hang out with your friends? Where do you go to make friends as an adult? Like, what do you do?
Yeah, I would say no, I don't really go to bars anymore. I mean, once in a while, if there's a reason, like a friend's birthday or something like that, and want to go show out. But other than that, I mean, I'm grateful that my friends are all around the lifestyle that I live. So like Wednesday night basketball or surfing. Like I've got my basketball friends, I've got my surfing friends, I've got my family friends, I've got my work friends, I've got my friends that I have over to do sauna cold tub with. I have friends that I meet at the coffee shops and I go to coffee shops with and co-work, and my entrepreneur friends. So it all is just really integrated in the circle. One thing that just came up around this note and what we were talking about earlier that's interesting, I'm just connecting the dots right now, is the idea of like what a true friend is, and being friends and being a friend to yourself. I think it's an important note, which kind of ties into the ice bath, is that like the real friend is the friend that tells you the things that you might not want to hear sometimes because they love you and care about you enough. And so sometimes being friendly with yourself and with like true friends means being able to hold that frame and deliver and to share true honesty, even if it might not be what they want to hear. And that kind of relates to ice bath as well. Like you think about like, oh, how is it friendly to like get in an ice bath? It's like, and to do that to yourself and be like, oh, I don't want to get in this, so that doesn't seem very friendly. But it actually can be the most friendly thing to be able to do the thing that you don't want to do, can actually create a deeper friendship.
I like it. I feel like we've picked up 3 nuggets of wisdom on friendliness in this conversation.
Yeah.
Openness.
Yes.
Shared suffering.
Yes.
And authenticity, or being, hey, I got to be real with you.
Right.
One more question before we close this out is, I know you're a big supporter of Friendly Futures.
I am.
What is it that you like about what we're doing?
It's a great question. What I love about what Friendly Futures is doing is, one, building a friendlier future, but I think that I love the brand behind it, and I love what it stands for. And brands are such a way to create change within society and create community. The friendly alien to me is going to be a household symbol one day. And what I love that it stands for is, one, like connection. It's like it stands for this idea of connecting with other people in authentic ways that aren't necessarily like numbing yourself out or going to the bars or getting drunk. Like there's other ways to connect and like just conversation. And knowing you for so long is so funny, but like you never were sitting down. I mean, even for, I've known you since we were what, 7, 8 years old. And even like 10 years ago when we'd be catching up, you'd be sitting on the floor. You wouldn't be sitting on chairs. You didn't have any chairs in your room. And I love that idea, because truly sitting is the new smoking, and we live such a sedentary lifestyle that we're not built for. So I see Friendly Futures, and why I love it so much is because I see it as like the antidote for so many of the problems that we're experiencing.
Yeah.
I see it in terms of bringing a more active, movement-based lifestyle, which is what our human bodies are designed for, and then connection and community in authentic ways, which is also what our bodies and beings are designed for. So the reason I love Friendly Futures is because it stands for that, but also and the way it's delivered in the brand with the colors and the friendly alien is like it's such an approachable and fun way that stands for. So I love it for all those reasons.
I appreciate that, brother.
Of course.
Well, thank you for stopping by, hanging out in a friendly space.
Yeah.
And chatting about our passion of friendliness, brother. Very thankful for you.
Love you, brother.
Like you too.